Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025-26 football season has come to an end. Super Bowl 60 was last night, and once the game concluded, it officially marked the end of this football season. What a football season it was. This will truly be a football season that I think people remember for a long time. Two champions that nobody expected, powerhouses completely falling apart left and right, lots of chaos both on and off the field, and both sides of the sport, collegiate and pro. Lots of crazy things happening. But after months of football, amazing football, the football season has officially concluded. The Indiana Hoosiers are the national champions of college football, and officially, the Seattle Seahawks are the Super Bowl champions of the NFL. Congratulations to Seattle. Congratulations to the fan base. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks players, as Seattle, I guess you can call it, got their revenge for their loss to the Patriots in Super Bowl 49. They avenged the loss 11 years later and returned back to the top of the NFL power rankings, really. So, I'm going to go over some thoughts I had on the game. I'm going to go look over some of the other sports, as some other sports seasons are still going, some other news there. But yeah, starting with my thoughts about how Seattle played. This was really the Seattle Seahawks performance I expected. Their defense was stout. New England could not get anything going on offense. And while the Patriots defense tried to keep it a close game, at the end of the day, Seattle's offense was far superior. They played far better, and Seattle won the game because of it. Um, Kenneth Walker had a monster performance on the ground. He would have had close to over 200 rushing yards had it not been for that one holding penalty that called back a touchdown, but he was rightfully the Super Bowl MVP. Kenneth Walker had an amazing postseason. And despite the fact that they lost one of their better red zone options in Charbonnet on the running game, Kenneth Walker really stood tall, embraced the role of him really becoming the bell cow running back, and he was able to lead Seattle through the trenches. So, congratulations to Kenneth Walker on that. Congratulations to Sam Darnold. The resurgence from Sam Darnold is one that's going to be studied for a long time when you look at how we evaluate quarterbacks. I remember when he was first playing for the Jets, when he was playing for the Panthers, when people were so beyond critical about this kid. Did not get off to a good start. He looked erratic. His decision making was skittish. He just looked really bad and with the New York Jets. And then he went to Carolina. Started off a little bit hot, got really cold. Overall, the start to his NFL career was anything but what he had hoped. And last year he went to Minnesota, was supposed to just be a backup, ends up becoming the starter with an injury to J.J. McCarthy, leads the Vikings to a 14-win season. And if the Lions had not existed, the Vikings would have been the number one seed in the NFC. Even if that playoff game for Minnesota was atrocious, especially from Darnold's perspective, Sam Darnold showed some brilliant flashes of the man we thought we were seeing when he came out of USC, came into the NFL. And so, Minnesota doesn't retain him because they were rocked with J.J. McCarthy. Now he goes to Seattle. Seattle was not too far removed from firing Pete Carroll. They had decided to move on from Geno Smith, who had been their starting quarterback for years. They had recently moved on from a longtime receiver in Tyler Lockett and traded DK Metcalf. It looked like a new era of Seattle football, and we didn't know what to expect from Darnold when he signed that deal. One of my friends told me that he expected Darnold to start the first half of the season, and then afterwards he would get benched and replaced by Jalen Milroe, who they just drafted, and a lot of people had high promise for. But what does Darnold do instead? Helps put together another 14-win season, the first quarterback to do so since Tom Brady. Now, I understand Darnold wasn't perfect. Darnold had his rough moments. He had his moments where he struggled. That first game against the Rams, the 4 interceptions, that was bad. That was really atrocious. He got better throughout the season. Leads Seattle to a 14-win season, the number one seed in the NFC. Played great in the playoffs, too. I cannot recall much, if any, times where Sam Darnold made a mistake this postseason. And because of that, Sam Darnold, who was once one of the most criticized quarterbacks in football, has now won a Super Bowl before some of the other first-round quarterbacks all the other first round quarterbacks in his draft class. He won one before Baker Mayfield. He won one before Josh Allen. He won one before Lamar Jackson. He clearly won one before Josh Rosen. And this is not long after he was the most criticized quarterback in the class. Congratulations to Sam Darnold. And again, it just goes to show that despite having a rough start to your career, you can go on to do something great if you're an NFL player. Because the start to Darnold's career was anything but strong. It was rocky in so many ways. He was criticized so many times. He still turned it around to back 14-win seasons, the number one seed in the NFC this season, and now Sam Darnold is a Super Bowl champion. So congratulations to Sam Darnold. The resurgence he's had over these last couple of seasons has been spectacular to watch, and I can't help but imagine that Seattle's going to be a heavy favorite to repeat next season, knowing what they have. They're going to get Charbonnet coming back. Their defense is only going to continue to get better. And some of their best weapons are still really young, by the way. Kenneth Walker, JSN, like these guys, some of Seattle's dogs are still super young. So this is going to be a very strong competitive team to look forward to in the near future. And I get season ended yesterday in Seattle as the champions. It's easy to say this, but I do kind of expect Seattle to be back here next season as well. Moving over to New England's side. Now, I understand that the Patriots lost. The Patriots did not play their best game. Um, their defense kept them in it for a while. I'll give tons of praise and credit to New England's defense. They try to keep the New England in that game for a while, and it ended up what I thought being a bit closer of a game than what the final score suggested. But so kudos to New England's defense for that. But offense just completely flat. Will Campbell had a atrocious game at left tackle. He looked lost. Drake May was not able to make decisions quickly enough to get the ball out because Seattle was basically just in his face the whole game. And then obviously, 2 turnovers. One of them went the other way. It was just not a good performance by New England and their offense. So, and again, this goes back to the people's criticism that they've had of New England all year long. They had a really weak schedule. They had the 32nd ranked toughness schedule in the NFL, which means they played the easiest schedule, literally the easiest schedule in football over the regular season. And then they have to look at who they played on their path to the Super Bowl. Now, I'll give them credit. For a team this young to make the Super Bowl is really good, and it's still hard to get to the dance, get to the big game, regardless of who you're playing. But at the end of the day, the regular season schedule is super weak. In the playoffs, they played a Chargers team with a beaten up O line who was missing their 2 All-Pro tackles, a Texans team who just could not stop tripping over themselves on offense, or more accurate, a quarterback who couldn't stop tripping over himself on offense, and then a Broncos team in the downpour of snow playing their backup quarterback who hasn't started in the NFL in over 2.5 years. Obviously, New England's path, I'll give them credit for making it. For a team that's going to make it this early is still really good for New England. With that being said, you can only feed off of bottom feeders for so long before eventually you got to face a real team, and that real team might beat you up. That's what happened in New England this game. Now, this is a team with a lot of promise for their future. I understand Will Campbell had a rough game, but he's still very promising as an O-lineman. Drake May was an MVP candidate his sophomore year, which is pretty good. They've got a really young running back in Travian Henderson, who I really love watching. Not just saying that as a Buckeye fan. He is really good. And their defense was really stout. And again, like Seattle, nobody expected New England to be any competitive this season, let alone make it to the Super Bowl. And regardless of whether or not your schedule is easy, it takes something to get there. So give credit to New England. They deserve some credit for making it this far. And this will be a really good learning experience for that young core because they now know what it's like to get there. They know what it's like to be there and lose. They'll be able to use it as a learning experience. And the next time they get back here, they're going to be more motivated to win because they don't want to feel that feeling again. But I thought it was a good Super Bowl. The action was pretty solid. Defense was really stout for the first 4 quarters of the game. And we got some good touchdowns late, both by both offenses and Seattle's defense. Um, I thought the halftime shows were good. I know TPUSA had their own, and listen, I'm not political. I just watched both of them because I wanted to see how they were. I thought both the halftime shows were really good. Bad Bunny's was a really good vibe, even though I didn't understand shit of what he said. And then TPUSA's was really good because I love country music, and that was a really good country music show. So that was really good as well. So give credit to both of them. I thought they were both really good. But yeah, commercials were weak though. I feel like there was only a couple of actually kind of innovative commercials that felt like Super Bowl commercials. I feel like the Budweiser one, the Xfinity one with Jurassic Park, I feel like those were the two best. The other commercials kind of stunk, in my opinion. They didn't really feel like Super Bowl commercials, but yeah, weak here for commercials. But we move on. Football season is officially over. Now, for those of you who are upset that football season's over, I get it. I'm bummed out too. This was an amazing football season. There was so much incredible action in both the collegiate side and the professional side. It sucks that it's over. We're going to miss football until it comes back to us in August and September. But let's look on the bright side. We still get some NFL stuff happening and a little bit of college. College football has their spring games coming up soon. Draft combine's going to be soon. The NFL draft's going to be soon. More importantly, NFL free agency is right around the corner. So we got that to look forward to for football still. And then you also have to look at what we're getting outside of football. The Daytona 500s this weekend officially kicking off racing. Formula One's around the corner as well. Pitchers and catchers have reported to spring training today, which means spring training for Major League Baseball is getting started soon, which means the World Baseball Classic is getting started soon. That's going to be fun to watch. Um, the UFC has been phenomenal to watch this year. But all the first three fight cards of 2026 on Paramount Plus have been spectacular and really fun to watch. With another one, I think next weekend with Sean Strickland and Fluffy Hernandez. I'm looking forward to that one. Um, what else we got? Oh, yeah, the NBA just passed their trade deadline and are approaching the All Star break. First of all, they finally did the right thing and brought back USA versus World. Looking forward to that. Yeah, the NBA is going to heat up with the playoffs right around the corner. The NHL might currently be on their Olympic break, but the NHL is approaching the end of their season, getting close to their trade deadline. So both the NFL and the NHL and the NBA are looking to go into playoffs. And oh yeah, speaking of the Olympics, we're in the Olympics right now. USA's won some gold medals. There's been some really good action in the Olympics. Prayers to Lindsey Vonn. Hopefully she recovers from that brutal crash. It was a really tough crash to watch. It's a terrible situation, but we pray for you, Lindsey. We pray for your recovery, and we hope to see you back one day. I do hope that she does do one more Olympics. It would suck if this was truly the end of her Olympic career, but prayers to Lindsey. Hope she gets better soon. But yeah, moreover, while the football season might be over, we might lose football until fall. We have so much to look forward to in the other sports, which are just around the corner. So I'm gonna go deep diving into those. Might be a little baseball heavy, but you never know. Oh, I also forgot to mention WWE is officially in WrestleMania season. Now, I know I recently made a video criticizing WWE a fair bit because I feel like the product's kind of been a little bit lackluster recently. At the end of the day, the road to WrestleMania is very fun for a wrestling fan as we go over the course of these next few months and determine who's going to fight who at WrestleMania, what's going to be happening on night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. We got two of those matches fulfilled already, or two spots at WrestleMania secured already. Who are the rest going to be? We're going to learn that over the road to WrestleMania. And it better be a good one because WWE needs it. But yeah, we have a lot of sports to look forward to. So don't be sad football season's over. Let's be glad we have it. We had it. Reflect on what was an iconic season for both college and pro. But let's also enjoy some of the other sports, which are happening very soon. Now, before I sign off of this football video, there was one big piece of news that came out yesterday after the Super Bowl, which is that Seahawks coordinator Clint Kubiak has officially made it clear that he will be accepting the Raiders head coaching job next season. Now, obviously, Kubiak did some amazing job with Seattle's offense this season. That was a fun offense to watch. Um, Let me just make sure he is a offensive coordinator. I could be wrong about that. Oh yeah, he was the offensive coordinator. Yeah, so yeah, Kubiak was a really fun coordinator to watch. Um, he's another one of those young coaches that are going to be expected to be performing there for a long time. But I do look forward to seeing what Kubiak can do with this Raiders offense. It's got some pieces there. It just needs the right mind to lead him forward, and not to mention he gets to go with enter his tenure with the Raiders, knowing that he has the first overall pick. We know who it's going to be. It's going to be Mendoza. So he gets to develop a young quarterback, develop a young offense, develop a young team. I understand they're going to have to be trading Max Crosby soon because it does look like Max Crosby and the Raiders are basically just heading straight for a divorce, but you can get a lot for Max Crosby. You get a lot of draft picks, a lot of decent players now, and you can use those guys to help build towards the future, even if it means trading Max Crosby. And no, it's going to suck, but you're going to get a lot for him because Max Crosby is a top two defensive end in the NFL, in my opinion. So you get that. But yeah, I am looking forward to see what Kubiak can do with the Raiders. I expect some good things. I expect it to look much better for Vegas next season. And as we saw with some other head coaching hires over the last few seasons, we're seeing more and more teams going preferring some of these young coordinators to become head coaches because they know these guys have a lot longer left in the NFL. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks head coach Mike McDonald, he's only 38 years old. He's got a long time left to being a head coach. And that's what teams are starting to lean towards now with Clint Kubiak. We saw it with Mike McDonald, with Ben Johnson. These young guys are going to be, these younger coaches who are going to be in the NFL for a lot longer. Teams are preferring these guys now. And so, yeah, the Kubiak hire continues on this trend. And like I said again, he's got some pieces to work with. He has some things he's got to figure out. I get it. But he's got some pieces to work with. And I am looking forward to see how he can develop this young Raiders offense going into next season. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Um, I apologize for not making my Super Bowl predictions video like I said I would. I shite the bed on that. But let's make sure that there's nothing else to cover. I don't think there is. But yeah, that's gonna do it. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will make some more videos over the course of the week. I do need to make my NBA trade deadline video. I'll get to that. And obviously, I'll try to cover the Olympics. Obviously, we're continuing to go deeper and deeper into the Olympics. The men's hockey team starts soon, which I'm looking forward to. Women's hockey team's pretty fucking good, by the way. If you haven't had a chance to watch the women's hockey team, the United States women's hockey team, boy, they've won both of their games by a combined score of 10-1. They've brutally outshot their opponents and outplayed them basically. But yeah, I am looking forward to hockey this year. If the United States can just do enough right things, they could win a gold medal in both women's and men's hockey if they do enough right things. They have some tough competition with Canada, and there's a lot of other teams with some really good players who can try to throw a curveball in there too. But um, hockey could be a good sport for the U.S. this year. But that's gonna do it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next video. Peace out, y'all.